Imagine you are walking down the street, minding your own business, when a police officer approaches and asks for your identification. What should you do in that moment? Do you have to show it, or can you simply say no? The direct answer is that whether you can refuse to give your identification to the police depends significantly on the specific circumstances of the encounter. In many situations, particularly when you are merely being asked questions and are free to leave, you generally do not have to provide your identification. However, if an officer has reasonable suspicion that you are involved in criminal activity, or if you are operating a vehicle, the expectation changes significantly. The core mechanism behind this distinction lies in the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, which protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, and various state laws. Officers generally cannot demand your identification without a legal basis. If you are lawfully detained, meaning the officer has reasonable suspicion to believe you have committed, are committing, or are about to commit a crime, then you may be required to identify yourself. Similarly, during a lawful traffic stop, you are typically required to present your driver's license and vehicle registration. To navigate these encounters, remain just calm and ask if you are free to leave. If the officer says yes, you can politely decline to answer further questions and continue on your way, and you generally do not need to show identification. If they say no, it means you are being detained, and in many states, you are then legally required to provide identification upon request. It is crucial to remember that different states have what are called stop and identify statutes, which broaden the circumstances under which you must identify yourself if lawfully stopped. Knowing these nuances can prevent misunderstandings and protect your rights. For example, in states without a stop and identify law, refusing to show identification when merely being questioned and not detained might be permissible. However, in a state with such a law, like Nevada or Kansas, refusing to identify yourself after a lawful detention could lead to an arrest for obstruction or failure to identify. Always remember that while you have rights, actively resisting or providing false information can lead to more serious charges. Understanding when you are merely being spoken to versus when you are lawfully detained, and knowing the laws specific to your state regarding identification empowers you to confidently assert your rights and interact with law enforcement appropriately, ensuring a smoother and safer experience for everyone involved.